All right, so hello y'all. How are y'all doing today? So in today's new video, as you guys have been requesting, I promised a recital prep video. Now, I kept on, I tried to record this video previously, but I started thinking to myself, there's really no way of truly showing you guys how I genuinely prepped for my recital. And that the reason why I say that is because in order to understand that is because you need to be in every single lesson that I've been in or every single practice session that I was in. Now that's almost, I don't want to say impossible, it is possible, but I did not record any of my sessions. So that's the only problem. Nevertheless, I decided to kind of, adjust it a little bit and just kind of explain to you what I did and show you different clips of my recital as well as before my recital, just because there are a few pieces, and I will admit, a few pieces I performed better before my recital than I did in my recital. Nevertheless, if you guys want to see how I prepared and somewhat performed my recital, keep on watching. So as always, I have my red wine. It's gonna be the California Roots from Target. It's $5, but it's actually very, very good wine, surprisingly. Typically I buy like these expensive wines, but I decided to try something new and went with the $5 wine, and I do not regret it, to say the least. Nevertheless, so when I was first choosing my pieces, something that I really kept in, or like the piece of music that I wanted to play, something that I personally kept in mind was the fact that I prefer like more romanticized music, if that makes sense. Now, yes, some of the music I did play was not romanticized, although, or like from a romantic era, although you could make it romanticized if you wanted to. Again, I am just speaking as an amateur flute player. I am not a professional flute player, but I did think of different pieces that I would want to play, as well as the way it would intertwine with each other. So the first piece that I played was like a Handel Sonata. It was composed of 4 different movements from multiple different pieces. It wasn't one set piece, but this one was actually not chosen by me. It was chosen by my professor. So that one wasn't really so much, I guess you could say, my choice. I did enjoy playing it, although it was a Baroque piece. So it really didn't mix well with my repertoire, except the fact that it was by Handel. Handel was a German composer, as far as I know, if I'm not mistaken. It really didn't go with my repertoire, but it still some way intertwined itself just because of the harmonics and the melody of the piece. It did kind of play a role in it all. So I know it's really unprofessional to have the interruptions, but anyways, I just had to clear this up. Or say this, here is a recording of this piece. I know I did not say that in the video and I completely forgot to, but here is a recording of me playing it. Nevertheless, the second piece was the Nel Corpu by Bohem. And Bohem, if you guys do not know, because of course a lot of you who watch me are not flute players, he was actually the inventor of the modernized flute. So it's going to be a picture right here. This is how the modernized flute looks, and then this is how the old Baroque flute used to look. And before the modernized flute, it was the Baroque flute. So it's much more difficult to play what we can play today. Nevertheless, it was by him, and this piece I actually chose because a lot of it was reminiscence of my grandma. And the reason why I say that is because, as many of you know, my grandma did pass away in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. 2016, excuse me. And for me, I took that very hard. I still miss her to this day. I still cry about her. She was somebody who was very influential in my life. Nevertheless, a lot of the pieces were reminiscent. Specifically, the fourth variation, if I'm not mistaken, 4th and 5th variation. That one reminded me of her funeral, and it was in a minor key. And I'll go ahead and put a recording here. But this piece was in a minor key, and it was very solemn, and it wasn't very happy, to say the least. But it reminded me of when I was walking down the aisle to go see her casket and see her in the, you know, in her own, I guess, casket, and saying goodbye to her, basically. And this was genuinely reminiscent of that. Nevertheless, it was one of my favorite pieces that I played on the program, and I definitely learned a lot from this piece. The last movement as well was, I thought it was supposed to be extremely fast. Although when I played it a little bit slower, like my professor asked, something was different about it, if that makes sense. So different tones, different melodies, different harmonics came out that I had never thought about. And ultimately, it ended up being a great performance for that piece during my recital. And I'll put a little bit of a clip of it, just to give you an example. Nevertheless, the final piece that I played is one of the most, I don't want to say most played, but it's one of the most popular pieces for flute, and it's going to be the Sonata for flute and piano. Now this one, I was very disappointed with myself, to say the least. I have been preparing for about a year and a half, or a year, I would say a year, for this piece, and I played it, and I played this piece, all 4 movements, mind you, top to bottom, perfectly, never a mistake. But the day of my recital, it was a disaster, to say the least. It was not my best performance, and I kick myself in the butt every single day because that performance was not my best, and or like for that piece specifically. And you know, it makes me really sad that it wasn't my best, but at the same time, it kind of teaches me something that while yes, you are going to work on something for your entire life, sometimes it's not just going to be meant to be. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect. Mind you guys, throughout this entire thing, okay, for my recital, I was supposed to have it live streamed. Our UNT recording services messed up and deleted my live stream. So I have my audio recording, but I do not have my live stream or my video for my recital. So I was very upset. So my mind was already like kind of distracted from the recital itself. And then all this happened, and it was a little bit of a sad day for me. My professor reassured me that I did good, but ultimately it was not my best. The way I worked on this piece was that I took it as slow as possible, sped it up, and then as I got slower to the recital, I took it slower, and I tried to get every detail in. But I feel like for my recital, it wasn't the best. And during my dress rehearsal, I had a really good run through of that entire, like all 4 movements. Not so much the 4th movement, but more so the first through 3rd movement. I had a really good run through of them. And it was something magical, specifically the 1st movement was something magical in my dress rehearsal, and something I'm never gonna forget. And I haven't felt in a while because, you know, with COVID, I haven't been performing with any ensembles. And that's something I haven't felt in a while, to say the least. So definitely I missed that, and I'm gonna leave that recording right here. Nevertheless, I cannot say I am appreciative of everything that my professor did. While yes, I never got a good job, I never got a you did great or you're sounding good or any type of adjective they can describe you're doing decent, I never got that from my professor. He did give me a note that said, while you had your mistakes during your recital, you showed maturity and you showed a very high sense of professionality, and that is unteachable. And to me, that was something that really hit me, just because when it comes to, while yes, I am going to continue music, and I think a lot of musicians have this mentality that if you're in music, you have to only be in music, and that is not true. I want to break that boundary. I want to perform with symphonies as a soloist. Yes, I'm not the best flute player, although if I work my ass off, I know I can be. Just saying. Obviously not to try to be cocky, but you know what I mean. Anyways, but at the end of the day, a lot of like our musicians, and especially like the serious ones, only have this mentality that they have to only be in music. They only have to do music. When in reality, that's not true. They can open up their own businesses. They can do different things. I want to open up my own businesses, and whether they are successful or not, I want to also be a musician on the side. Like, that's just me. And I feel like a lot of musicians fail to realize that. Nevertheless, what my professor like taught me and showed me, like I was saying, was that despite the fact that he never said good job or really praised me in any which way, I think at the end of the day I learned so much from him, and he taught me so much that I can take this into my professional work. I can take this into my retail job. I can take this anywhere I want to and still be able to put the same process and the same mentality that I have for learning a piece of music or learning a symphony for that matter, and put it into my work and put the same work ethic into my work. But yes, nevertheless, I hope you guys kind of got an insight. I wish I had more of an insight. I wish I recorded more of my stuff. Although, as much as I want to make this like I guess a professionalized or like recording video, a professional video, I think me as a musician, I am very different from most musicians in that I have a sense of I want to do other things. Music is not only my life, and I'm more of a partier.
Really, bitch.
But still, like, it's a little bit different. So I hope you guys kind of got an insight into how I prepared, and my mindset throughout this entire process definitely was one of the hardest things I had to do, but one of the most fulfilling and funnest things I had to do. Nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed today's new video. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions on any of the process, as well if you guys want to see something in particular. Don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button as well as that bell icon so you know when I upload brand new videos. And if you want to follow me on any of my social medias, they're all going to be linked down below. I hope I was as genuine as I've been trying to be in this video. Nevertheless, I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.